everybody, welcome to Petal Academy. I'm Darlene. I'm going to walk you through a few fun tips about the season's favorite flower, of course the rose. So welcome everyone. Today I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks with the Freedom Rose, which is the variety that I'm using here. A little bit of background about red roses. Why are they the favorite? Well, let's think about the language behind a red rose. So all different varieties and colors of roses have different meanings when you think about language. And what the red one means, of course, is love, passion. It also means beauty and congratulations and job well done. So these things, of course, make it a beautiful rose and a beautiful gift and the most popular one for Valentine's Day. So right now we're going to go over a few fun little tools that we use in the industry that you may not be familiar with that, of course, will help you process roses or clean roses, which is what we call cleaning them with water properly so that we avoid that bent neck and get them processed into fresh water so they perform the best. So in front of me, I'm going to zoom in here so you guys can see some of my tools. I've got a pair of floral snip or shears. You're going to want a pair of those handy because they're the best things to be cutting a really great cut on our roses. A nice sharp cut is what we want. That's how they're going to perform best. Also, I've got a few of our floral strip stem strippers is what we call them. 3 different varieties here. I'm going to go over those with you, as well as a paring knife. So these are some things that can help you when you're cleaning your roses. So I've also got a vase here that's prepared with warm water, and I've added the floral food packet that usually comes with your roses into this water. Now, warm water is the best because roses have a woody stem and they need to have that warm water so that it goes up that stem a lot quicker than, say, cold water. This floral food contains a little bit of sugar and a little bit of a bacteria aid, which helps keep that water clean so that our roses are drinking nice fresh water. Think of yourself. You don't like to drink dirty water. Well, neither do roses or flowers. So it's really important to keep this water clean, and this little packet of food helps do that. So let's look at some of these tools that we've got here. So I've been in the industry for quite a while. One of our oldest and probably most tried and true is this little guy here. Now this is a metal stem stripper, and it's got these little claws at the top, spring loaded, so it's really easy. And what we usually recommend is you just take your rose and wrap this little claw around the stem in between, so that you've got, and just pull it right down the stem. Now you can see it sort of gets caught a little bit on those thorns, so it's not as smooth, and it's a little aggressive. So it's not my favorite for cleaning roses because sometimes I feel like it rips the stem a bit, but it's great for other kinds of stems. You can try it, and I've had this one a while, you can tell. The next one, which is my favorite, is the acrylic one, which is this one here. You can see it's also got just a little pin holder here, so it's a little clamp, and this just goes right around your stem of roses, and then you just wrap it around and pull it down with your hand. So it protects your hands really, really well, and it works great as a rose stripper. You can see it took those thorns right off those stems, which is perfect. And then the other one I have here is pretty fun, just this little one here. And this one, it's just like a little flower grabber. It's shaped like a flower. It's got these little upright pins on it here, these non-sharp plastic pins. And just wrap it right around the stem and then pull it right down. And it helps to remove the leaves and thorns as well. Now, as you can see, it doesn't take the thorns right off. Sometimes it'll leave a few on there a little bit. If you don't have any of these fun little items in your caliber, you can just take a paring knife and just run it down the stem to remove the thorns and the leaves. I usually recommend removing about 3/4 of the leaves on the stems and just leaving the top quarter on. You want to make sure that in your vase there is no leaves or debris in that water because that will create bacteria quicker. So that's something to avoid. Make sure that below the water level there are no leaves. So I usually recommend 3/4 of that stem. The next thing you're going to want to make sure is that you give these roses a sharp cut on an angle. So what we're going to do is take our clippers, I'm going to zoom in for you here, and I'm going to give these a trim right on an angle so that I'm creating a really large area for that rose to take up water. That's the trick with the angled cut. So right like that on an angle and right into that water. No messing around. No texting friends. No, I think I'll put these in water later. No, right into that water right away. And the reason we do that is because it ensures that these roses will start sucking up that water without that cut starting to seal up and dry. What happens then is that little bent neck thing will happen, right? Because we're getting a little air pocket traveling up that stem before it got into the water. So that's why it's immediate action, get them right into water. If you do have a problem with your roses starting to soften like that, what you can do is remove the ones that are giving you that bent neck issue, and you can place them in a sink of water, just like this, just horizontal, in a little bathtub, laundry sink, or even a larger kitchen sink, just like this, for about 20 minutes, even up to an hour is totally great, in a nice sort of cool to lukewarm temperature, just like this. And then pull them up, shake them off, give them another little cut. And then I recommend putting them into a warm to hot water with that preservative back into that vase, and that should help them perk back up. Okay, now when your roses have started to sort of, give you a nice display for a few days, let's talk about longevity. Roses should last you anywhere between 4 to 7 days, usually 10 days if you take really good care of them. They don't like to be displayed in a hot area of the house, so not in front of the fireplace, not a south window, and definitely not near a vent or a draft or anything like that. Keep them somewhere cool and out of the sun. Think a nice cool temperature. Flowers love to perform best when they're in cool temperatures. So when they've started to sort of, get a little softer, what I like to do with them is cut them a little bit shorter. Why not? And we can display them in some fun little votive cups like I have right here. So I've just taken these and I've cut them a little bit shorter and put them into a few small vases. Now I did add some water in here in that lukewarm temperature with that floral food, just to make sure that they're all good, but you can just add a few more roses. Now these ones here, you can see I have opened up this rose so that it looks like almost like a camellia flower, like it's so gorgeous and large. I'm going to show you how to do that just as a little trick. So, this usually works best when your roses are a few days old. So don't try it when they're really, really fresh, because the petals are a little bit hard to maneuver whenever they're a little too unripe, as we could like to call them. So I'm going to remove all the leaves, and I'm just going to take my rose. I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to bend it back just right over that rose, just like so. Bending those petals right back over my thumb. And I'm kind of twisting my rose around when I'm doing this. And this is what we call reflexing the petals. So you can do this with a bunch of different types of flowers, but it works really well with softening roses. And it also is really fun to try with tulips. So you can try that as well, just to get them to sort of go against their natural pattern of growth there. Give it a little bit of air there just to pop it open even more. And then what I did is I just trimmed them down nice and short. So again, on an angle, about 3 or 4 inches under that bloom. And you can tuck them into these little votive cups and they become such a pretty little centerpiece. Another thing people always ask me is, how do I make rose petals? How do I do that? So really, really easy. And that's another fun thing to do with roses that are a little bit on their way out, is you can really just simply just take that rose just like so. And you can see it's still pretty firm here, but you've got that little seed head here just up inside that rose. So all you're going to do is take your fingers and just bend your rose just a little bit, and be very gentle so you don't snap the head. Just bend it just like so and pull that seed pod right off the bottom of that rose, and you'll see you've still got your rose sort of intact here. I'm going to set that to the side, and then we just take our rose and you can just literally undo it, just twirling it around a little bit. And this creates a really nice, beautiful display of rose petals. So you can get kind of creative with some table centerpieces, or throw them in the bathtub, or wherever suits your fancy to get fancy for the holiday. So you've got that as an idea of what to do with your roses. Another great thing you can do with roses is, of course, dry them. So rose petals will dry perfect, just like this, on just a nice dry surface. You want to make sure that they're not going to rub into like a white tablecloth or anything like that, because they do have a natural pigment that will stain anything that's light colored, just so you know. But what I usually do is just take a few, just like so, or even up to a dozen. I put an elastic around the bunch, and then I hang them in a nice dry, not sunny location. So somewhere darker and dry is the best. And these will usually dry between a week to 2 weeks, and they'll be dried in nice straight stems. Then you can use them for dried flower arrangement, which is really kind of fun. I'm just going to trim those again and back into the vase. So hopefully this gave you a few fun tips that you can try to add to some of your decor for your Valentine's tables. If any of you have any questions, please reach out to us at info@petalacademy.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to see what we're up to. Until next time, everybody, live life in full bloom. Enjoy the season of love.